माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। बताया जय गोपी जन वल्लभ कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवर धारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवर धारी। जय जशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण बाजाओ ना। हरे कृष्ण 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare. डरना नहीं बजाओ. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare ताली बजाओ तब. अरे बजाओ. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. इसी को बोलता है अलंकार. Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय राधा कृष्ण चंद्र राधे। जय निताय गौरांग जय निताय गौरांग। जय जय प्रभुपाद।
Divine Grace, Abhay Charan Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Ashtotra Shatashi Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Srila Prabhupada ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 20th chapter. Text number 10 and 11 doesn't have purport. I will read it by myself. Text number 12 we will read it together. ये मरीचि आदायो विप्रा यस्वस्वयंभुवो मनुः ते वै ब्रह्मणो आदेशात् कथम् एतद् अभावयन्. Translation. Vidura inquired, how did the Prajapatis such progenitors of living entities as Marichi and Swayambhuva Manu create according to the instruction of Brahma, and how did they evolve this manifested universe? Text number 11. Sadvitiyaha kim asrajan swatantra uta karmaso ahosvit sammataha sarva idam sma samakalpayan. Translation. Did they evolve the creation in conjunction with their respective wives? Did they remain independent in their action, or did they all jointly produce it? Text number 12, we will read it together. Maitreya uvacha Daivena durviti karyena Parena namishena cha Jatakshobhat bhagavato Mahanasid gunatrayad Maitreya uvacha Daivena durvitarkyena Parena namishena cha Jatakshobhat bhagavato Mahanasid gunatrayad Maitreya uvacha Daivena durvitarkyena Parena namishena cha Jatakshobhat bhagavato Mahanasid gunatrayad. Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Chandra Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga Ki Jai. Word meaning? Maitreya uvacha. Maitreya said, Daivena, by superior management, known as destiny, Durvitarkyena, beyond empiric speculation, Parena, by Mahavishnu, Animishena, by the potency of eternal time, Cha, and Jatakshobha, the equilibrium was agitated. Bhagavataha, of the personality of Godhead, Mahan, the total material elements, the Mahat Tattva, Asid, were produced, Gunatrayad, the three modes of nature. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Maitreya said, when the equilibrium of the combination of the three modes of nature was agitated by the unseen activity of the living entity by Mahavishnu and by the force of time, the total material elements were produced. Please repeat the translation. Maitreya said, when the equilibrium of the combination of the three modes of nature was agitated by the unseen activity of the living entity by Mahavishnu and by the force of time, the total material elements were produced. Purport. The cause of the material creation is described here very lucidly. The first cause is Daiva, or the destiny of the conditioned soul. The material creation exists for the conditioned soul who wanted to become a false lord for sense enjoyment. One cannot trace out the history of when the conditioned soul first desired to lord it over material nature. But in Vedic literature, we always find that the material creation is meant for sense enjoyment of the conditioned soul. There is a nice verse which says that the sum and substance of the conditioned soul's sense enjoyment is that as soon as he forgets his primary duty to render service to the Lord, he creates an atmosphere of sense enjoyment which is called Maya. That is the cause of material creation. Another word used here is Durvitarkena. No one can argue about when and how the conditioned soul became desirous of sense enjoyment. But the cause is there. Material nature is an atmosphere meant only for the sense enjoyment of the conditioned soul, and it is created by the personality of Godhead. It is mentioned here that in the beginning of the creation, the material nature or Prakriti is agitated by the personality of Godhead, Vishnu. There are three Vishnus mentioned. One is Mahavishnu, another is Garbhodakasai Vishnu, and the third is Kshirodakasai Vishnu. The first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam discusses all these three Vishnus, and here also it is confirmed that Vishnu is the cause of creation. From Bhagavad Gita also we learn that Prakriti begins to work and is still working under Krishna's or Vishnu's glands of superintendence. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead is unchangeable. One should not mistakenly think that because the creation emanates from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, He has therefore transformed into this material cosmic manifestation. He exists in His personal form always, but the cosmic manifestation takes place by His inconceivable potency. The workings of that energy are difficult to comprehend, but it is understood from Vedic literature that the conditioned soul creates his own destiny and is offered a particular body by the laws of nature under the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who always accompanies him as Paramatma. The sense of Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So continuing the questions being asked by Vidura to Maitreya, Here Vidura is asking some more important questions about the creation of this universe. And Maitreya is answering the questions of Vidura. So here he is saying, since he was asking, how is this creation being done? This material creation, how does it come about? Explain its nature. So, in the first canto already it is mentioned as to how material nature is created. So, ultimately the Karana for this material creation, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Karana Karanam. I am the source of all creation. So, the material creation comes about from the Karana ocean. That is why we call Mahavishnu Karana. He is the Karana for everything. And he is the first Karana. And from him, the next expansion is of Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. Once the universe is created, then the Lord enters that universe. And that is why he is called Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. He is the Lord of that Garbha. Garbha means also womb. So like a womb, he maintains by entering into that universe. And once he enters that universe, subsequently various living entities are subsequently created. And then the Lord enters into each living entity, and that is known as Shirodaka Sai Vishnu, or the Paramatma feature of the Lord. So it is the one Supreme Lord who expands into various forms. For what? This material universes is created itself for satisfying the material desires of the living entities. Living entities who have fallen into this material world have various desires. And ultimately, the Lord Himself comes to satisfy the various material desires of the living entity. Eko bahunam yo vidadati kaman. It is ekaha. The Lord is one. Bahunam yo vidadati kaman. Multiple types of living entities have different types of desires. But it is the Lord only who can satisfy all the desires, material or spiritual. Because the living entities desire to enjoy separately from the Lord. That is the cause of this material creation. And by Daivena, by the divine arrangement, each jiva gets a particular destiny. It is all divinely arranged. Our destiny, what we are going to get, is all arranged by the Lord. Because the living entity wants to enjoy separately. He wants to enjoy separately. That's why the Lord is making arrangements so that he can somehow get this, get his desires fulfilled. It is not that the Lord wants to engage the living entity in that, but the Lord is the well-wisher and is telling, okay, you enjoy your desires and you come back. You learn. Sometimes living entities, they will learn only by making mistakes. They don't want to learn without making mistakes. So in that kind of a scenario, the Lord tells, okay, if that is your desires, I will give you that option also. So Krishna arranges. Purusha prakriti stoyi bhungte prakriti jan gunan. Karanam guna sangausya sadasad yoni janmishu. Right? The living entity in material knowledge, in material nature, he follows different types of ways of life according to the three modes of material nature. And that is due to the association that he has acquired with a particular nature. And thus he meets with various good and evil among the various species of life. Purusha prakritisto prakriti jhan gunan bhungte prakriti jhan gunan. He has chosen a particular nature, and because he has chosen a particular nature, he gets a particular life. Say, if you desire, okay, I want to be a pig, then Prakriti will give you the body of the pig. But after you get the body of the pig, if you say, Are, why are you put me into the kitchen? Right? It is foolishness, because he has desired to take a particular body, that is his own creation. So obviously a pig's house will be in that particular place. He gets in different yonis, sadasat janmashu yonishu. He gets according to his desires. The Lord is arranging. But then the Lord knows that. See, now he has realized, oh, why did I want this? I should not have desired this. This body is terrible. So any material form is terrible. Whether it is a pig's body, whether it is a king's body. Ultimately you start realizing it, because the material world makes you realize that this material world is not a happy place. But sometimes living entity is forgetful and he thinks, okay, this is what I want. So he wants, actually the Lord has to arrange that. It is not possible without the Lord's arrangement. Even if you are wanting, ultimately the Lord is the Karana. That is what is being said here. Dhaivena durvitarkena parinanamipshena cha jatakshobhat bhagavate mahanasid gunatraya. When the equilibrium of the combination of the modes of nature was agitated by the unseen activity of the living entity by Mahavishnu, and by the force of time, the total material elements were produced. Just like Prabhupada says, I will give you all the chemicals which is there in a mosquito. In your laboratory, can you produce a mosquito? You cannot produce. There has to be some higher arrangement that those chemicals are converted into a mosquito. You can break down the mosquito and say, in this, these things are there. But to create a mosquito, some other force has to work. That is what is being mentioned here. What is that force? It is being saying, Daivena Durvitarkyena. That Karana is Daiva. That Karana is Daiva. The Lord is the cause of all that. That is being pointed out by Maitreya Rishi here. That the equilibrium means what? It's a balanced state. Two forces, one positive, one negative, are neutralizing that object. So it is in an equilibrium state. Right? Say, you apply X force from one direction and you apply an X force from the other direction. Now both forces will cancel each other and it will be in a state of equilibrium. Now to come out of this equilibrium state, what has to be done? One of the sides has to have X plus 1 force. If it has even 0.1 additional amount of force, then it will start pushing the other side. Right? That's how to create motion, effort is required. Right? You want to walk from here to there. Means what? You have to put some effort there. Who is making that effort? Maitreya is saying, Daivena Durvitarkyena. Things are all there. And that things also is what? These things are all coming from the Mahatattva. All these raw things are coming from Mahatattva. Living entities, what happened is, their little, very small amount of creative abilities, the Lord has invested in the living entity also. Because ultimately, we are part and parcel of the Lord. So, somewhere, that Anu Amsha of the Lord is there with us. So the Lord gives us some creative abilities also. Now that Anu Amsha of the living entity starts assuming that I am the creator. I can also create. Just like in the material world we see, modern scientists, they have created aeroplane, they have created so much advanced technology. So they start assuming that I can also. It's like a small child. Like for example, a teenager, a young boy, he starts fighting with his father, mother. I know, I can live together, I can live separately, I can do this, I can do this. He will start rebelling against his parents or his elders. And then when he goes into the real world, what happens? He understands it is not so easy. When a youngster, he asks his father, give me this, give me that. Father says, no, okay, I will get it myself. You see what I will do. And then that youngster, when he goes out into the world and tries to acquire, what happens? He sees it is not easy. In this material world, if you want to acquire something, it needs lot of effort. It needs lot of shrama. And that is when that living entity starts thinking, oh, I should not have behaved like this with my father. I should not have behaved like this with my father. I should not have behaved with my elders like this. Then he starts introspecting. He starts introspecting. He starts becoming humble. Until and unless you are not humble, Krishna consciousness cannot be there. Bhakti, just like for a plant to grow, it needs good soil. If the soil is like a desert or salty soil like the sea, will any plant grow there? For the plant to grow, a desert kind of soil or a salty sea kind of soil will not enable any growth there. Similarly, for us to develop a relationship with the Supreme Lord, to develop bhakti towards the Lord, we need to maintain our consciousness in a particular way. Like Prabhupada says, no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. We will not associate with women. We will not discuss closely, relate with women. Very important principles. Because if you indulge, then you are destroying the Bhakti Lata Bija. You are putting false chemical into the soil which can destroy our growth in spiritual. We need to be careful. We need to be careful. And every moment a devotee is always introspective. How I am associating. What is kind of association that I am having. Everything he associates. So the Lord is in control. The Lord is in control of everything. Maya adhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam etunanena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. In the 9th chapter, Krishna is saying, this is who I am. I control everything. The material nature is one of my energies. And it is working under my direction. Maya adhyakshena. It is under my adhyakshata. Under my supervision, this material energy is working. And under my superintendence, both what? Both chara and achara are being managed. Both moving and non-moving beings are under my control. Suyate cha ra aram. Both chara and as well as achara. And Krishna is also jagat viparivartate. Whenever Krishna wants, it is new universes are created, and whenever Krishna wants, new old creations are destroyed. Everything is under control. Under the direct superintendence, everything is being managed. Prabhupada in this purport is saying that there is a nice verse which says that the sum and substance of the conditioned soul's sense enjoyment is that as soon as he forgets his primary duty to render service to the Lord, he creates an atmosphere of sense enjoyment which is called Maya. That is the cause of material creation. So, we must understand that the Lord, who is the cause of everything, facilitates the living entity. He facilitates. But even that facilitation, the Lord has a different purpose. Ultimately, by facilitating that living entity to engage in material activity, the Lord wants to bring that living entity back into his original consciousness. Temporarily, he is put into a miserable situation because that misery will again remind him of his original duty. So sometimes as devotees, when we are in a miserable situation, when we are in a bad situation, we start thinking, why am I in this bad situation? Actually, it is mercy of the Lord. This bad situation is actually a treatment for me. It is required for the refinement of my consciousness. I need this bad situation. If this bad situation is not there, then I will go more and more to the worst situations. Just like that example Srila Prabhupada gives. For a criminal, the Pandita says, you neither die nor live. Because if you die, you will go to hell. If you live, you will create troubles for others. That kind of an existence, what a miserable existence it is. You can neither die nor live. You will be in a state of very, very miserable pain. So, the creation, Srimad Bhagavatam explains that Mahavishnu lies in the Karana ocean and all the souls are actually dormant in Mahavishnu's body at that point of time. Once Pralaya happens, then every living entity enters the body of Mahavishnu. But his glance agitates the Prakriti. It agitates. Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti. As soon as the Lord glances, then material world, material items are agitated. An extra force is added. From the equilibrium state, it moves into, it acquires a different state. It acquires a state of motion. And then the Lord has got various energy. Kala starts playing. Then Ahankara comes into play. Then, like we read in the Srimad Bhagavatam earlier in these chapters, how the various tanmatras, all those things starts coming into play. Sound, touch, hearing, these kind of different sense organs starts developing. Then once that is developed, then further mind, body, senses, all these kind of things starts coming up. And then when everything is developed, then Hiranyagarbha, the Lord enters this universe. He becomes the womb of this whole thing. And once the Lord enters, then subsequently secondary creations are created. Like Brahma appears from the womb of Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. Sarga Visarga. Bhagavatam is talking about what? Two aspects, Sarga and Visarga. Sarga is creation directly by the Lord. Visarga means post that. So as soon as the living entity forgets its real position, then all these different aspects starts coming into picture. So that's why Prabhupada says, he gives the example, this material world is a prison. Prison is a place for reform. It is to reform the criminals, keep them in a very controlled environment. Don't give them the freedom. If you give them the freedom, then they will misutilize that freedom. So you have to bind them. There is a boundary. Hey, be here. Do this. Do that. Freedom can be given only when you recognize, when you understand, and when you are responsible for that work that has been given. You cannot, whatever, the Lord is the boss, the Lord is the supreme boss. So ultimately, living entities has to satisfy that boss. That is why living entities are. Jivere Swarupohi Nityara Krishnadas. So you cannot do independently, and it trickles down to every level. We all have to maintain the same consciousness. There is a boss. That is a supreme boss. My immediate boss. You have to work like that. But he is relative. He is not absolute. The Lord is absolute boss. In the material world, he is a relative boss. But we have to adhere to that relative boss. If you violate that relationship between a relative boss and a relative person, you will be punished. You will again be, that is a reality everywhere. We have to understand these principles and work within. We can never be independent. Living entity cannot be independent anywhere. As soon as he becomes independent, he falls into misery. Relatively, your independence expands. That is your karma. If you have very good karma, then you have a wider amount of independence. But it is not absolute. You cannot act independently. You are nice to your boss, you are nice to your superiors. Then what is that superior will do? Okay, so our responsibility. Give them little more. Expand his freedom. The moment you try to break, they will start putting boundaries on you. They will start putting, it is reality. That is the way this universe is constructed. We understand this reality and work within that reality. We will be very shanta. We will be very peaceful. Our mind, body will be very peaceful. Relatively. We should not absolutely do it in the material world. Absolute surrender is for Guru and Krishna. But relatively, you have to abide by these rules. Okay, relatively is my boss to this degree, I have to accept. I have to work within the domain. You cannot break that there. Everybody. The boss is also relatively to his superior boss. Nobody is exempted. If he misbehaves, then again he will be shown the stick. If he misuses his position, he will again suffer for that. Nobody is exempted. Just like in the material world, somebody can say, see, I did this, I did that. Question is, for how long? How much time you will disobey? You will face the wrath. You cannot violate these kind of principles. So we must remember this always. And work within the domain, and then engage, and then pray to Krishna, and Krishna will slowly take you and give you more and more opportunities to serve the Lord. Opportunities for what? To serve the Lord. But if in our mind we are looking opportunities to engage our ahankara, our senses, then Krishna will put you into another world. No, he is not reformed. He needs further reformation. And then he will put you into a place where there is more suffering, because you have to understand this is not the way to behave. So, by chanting, by practicing Krishna consciousness, we are maintaining our mind, body, senses nicely, like people do fitness. They maintain their body fit by good eating habits, by good exercise, by good lifestyle, ahara, nidra, bhaya, maitunam cha, all these kind of things you maintain in a very regulated way, you will have good fitness. Similarly, our goal is to keep ourselves spiritually fit by strictly following the regulative principles, by strictly following the sadhana vidhi, by always being meek and humble, engaging in the service of the Lord, we will become spiritually fit. And we will be able to make fast progress in Krishna consciousness. We'll stop here if there's any question, comments. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की।